doing is first we set out and put together a list of the spaces we thought we were going to require in each building and how many of each space. And then from there, we started to look at layouts, floor plans, site plans, things like that. During that time, we've been working with our architect and also with faculty and staff members of the school. And we're at the point now, it's called the end of the schematic design phase. And this is where we really start to firm up the layout of the building, the site plan, and now we start to look at the details of the finishes, the exterior, just really start to get into the minute details of the project. And before we go on to that, we wanted to present the schematic design to the public in a special meeting just for that purpose, so that we could get their input. What I'll do before I introduce the architect, I just want to introduce you to the members of the school building committee. 7 of 9 of us are here so far. First is Margaret Gilligan, and Fred Rasboni, Ken State, Jim Good, myself, I'm Michael Lampier, the chairman, Nona Neely, who's the vice chairman, Frank LaRosa, and we also have Ann LeBlanc Snyder and Michael Kilkelly, who I'm sure will be joining us in a few minutes. And Superintendent Holmes has been working closely with us on the project. What we'll have is Laura Wernick, who is the architect from HMFH, our architect, will give a presentation on the schematic design, where we stand right now. And after she gives her presentation, there'll be an opportunity for people to make comments on the plan and to ask any questions you might have. Either the architect or a member of the building committee will answer your questions. So at this time, I'll introduce Laura.
Everyone can't see these, but try and describe them as best we can. I hope that most of you have the small handouts, the floor plans, so that you can perhaps between the colors and the floor plans you'll be able to follow along. As Michael said, we've been working to get the initially floor plans designed, laid out. The building committee worked very hard to come up with a program of sizes and purposes and types of spaces that were required for the schools. We've taken that program and started to fit the pieces together and fit them on the site. Both sites are very difficult, very tight sites as from a design point of view. But the programs are very, I believe, very clear, very strong, and you'll have excellent schools to work with. I'm going to start with the Dole there, which is on my right. I'll walk through the existing and the new buildings so that people can orient themselves. I'm just going to turn the plan here so that it's oriented the same way as the floor plan. The existing building, which on the model is something of a T or an L shape. This is the existing building here, comprising this component and this component right here. So this is the existing Dole Bear School. We're actually proposing 2 additions to the school. One addition will be a 4-classroom addition at this end, which will make up a kindergarten cluster of comprising 6 classrooms, 2 existing classrooms and 4 new classrooms. That's this wing here. The other addition, which makes up the rest of the academic portions of the program and the shared spaces, is over on this side of the building. The goal, I think, and the way that the direction the building committee has been urging us and nudging us along is to compact the building to have the least impact on the site, and yet attempt is primarily this portion here. The new construction of the large area is this portion, and the fourth kindergarten addition is up there. I'm starting at the front door. I'll walk you through the building so you can kind of sense how the pieces all fit together, or how someone would enter and actually use the building. The front door of the school is while we'll be maintaining the existing entrance, the new main entrance will be you'll be entering into the main portion of the new building. So the new main entrance is right here into the building. On the site, the existing entrance is here, so we're saying the new main entrance is over here. And I'll show you a site plan later on that will show how the relationship to the existing site. As you walk in the building, your administration area, the general office, the principal's office will be immediately to your left. Straight ahead and to your right will be the main unit, community, and shared spaces for the school, the cafeteria and the gym. And what we're proposing is having a cafeteria. The cafeteria will be what's called a cafetorium. It will be used both as a cafeteria and as a performance space. As a stage, it will have a stage on it that will open up into the cafeteria, so it can be used both as a cafeteria and as a performance space for the students, or as a public meeting space. In addition, the cafetorium opens into the gym. There'll be a solid acoustical partition that can be closed down so the two spaces can be acoustically and visually separated from one another. But when there are large group meetings, that partition can be opened up so that you have a very large space to be used for large functions. So what I was just speaking of is here's the platform here, the cafeteria. There will be a door that can close here or be open for the large meetings, and then the large full-size gym, which will house a high school-size full basketball court and side courts. So those are the main shared spaces, and those are right off of the main corridor, so that for night use, after-hours use, can be easily accessible for the community and centrally located for the children during the day. The program, the academic program, the primary components of it are 4 classrooms per grade level for 4 grades. We're talking first, second, third, and fourth grade, so a total of 16 standard classrooms. Music classroom, art classroom, science classroom, and computer lab. The computer lab is associated with the media center or library. So those are the most significant portions of the academic program. There's additional support spaces as well. With 16 classrooms, we've divided that into, I think, some logic, into four groups of 4. So each grade level will have a cluster of 4 classrooms. In the new portion of the wing, those new portion of the building, those classrooms are stacked. So for instance, if it was the 3rd and 4th grade, the 3rd grade, there are 4 standard classrooms here on the 1st floor, and they're stacked, so that there would then be 4 standard classrooms on the 2nd grade for perhaps the 4th graders. Special classrooms are on the end of that grouping. So on the 1st floor is the science, on the 2nd floor is the computer. A little competition here. It's the computer classroom. The computer classroom opens onto the library. The large yellow space here would be the media center or library, which will occur at the top of the stairs. So you enter the classroom, you enter the school building, you have the major spaces, then you have the academic wing, 4 classrooms plus 1 space on the 1st floor. You go upstairs, and again, it's 4 classrooms plus 1 special space. And there at the top of the stairs is the library. So, which in the model is this space here. So the library can be viewed as kind of the resource center for the school, in a sense, the heart of the school, and have a prominent location both in plan and in the mass and the elevation. That would be a primary focus of the entire school. Servicing for the building is primarily here. This is the kitchen and receiving area for the school. Mechanical systems will actually be down in the existing basement and make use of the existing building, but the servicing will occur here. As you leave the new building and head to your left, you actually enter into the old portion, the existing portion of the Dolbear School. What is now the stage and multi-use space become a new art room and a teacher's lounge, a teacher's workroom and lounge. So we have the large area in the front of the building, which is now the multi-purpose room, will become a large double-height volume for the art room. So it'll be I think, very spectacular art classroom in the existing building. There are a number of support spaces along the corridor. Again, the existing classrooms are easily divided up into 4 and 4, so there'll be 4 classrooms for one grade level on one side of the classroom, 4 classrooms for the other grade level on the other side of the classroom. And then ultimately at the end of the corridor, we'll have the pre-kindergarten and kindergarten cluster, so that all of the kindergarten children are located together, and they have actually their own potential for their own entranceway and for their own play space on the site. Just going to get the site plan so I can show you how these components fit on the site. The Dolbear School is the top drawing. And again, this is the existing building here. And the 2 new additions, this is the kindergarten cluster addition over here, and this is the large shared space and 8 classroom academic addition, this space. What we're proposing to do is to divide the vehicular traffic into a couple of different areas, so that there'll be a separate parent drop-off. The front entrance of this school will actually be focused on parental drop-off, so that buses and the parent drop-offs won't be interfering with one another. So there'll be the parents can come in, either drop off their children, presumably drop off their kids. If they want to park, they'll go onto the adjacent parking area. But that drop-off, kids getting out of the cars will not be intermingling with the bus drop-off. The bus drop-off will be at the end of the building, totally separated, so that the buses will be able to come in and immediately go out and kind of interfere with the parents, obviously. What we're proposing at this point is 2 separate parking lots, one at each end of the building. A parking area here and a parking area here exiting onto Longfellow Street, so that you'd actually have a one-way road going this way, and presumably teachers would be parking up here and then could exit directly out onto Longfellow Street. This will also, parallel to that is also the service drive. Excuse me?
You mean Vernon Street?
Vernon Street, correct. Lowell Street, Vernon Street, I apologize. This leaves room on the site for a ball field and a soccer field, for practice field for young children, an area to develop a paved play area and a separate area for the kindergarten, a separate paved play area for the kindergarten kids. So you have 2 separate paved play areas plus open fields for ball fields and existing play structure right in front of the, it's actually right here, because it's just to the left of the existing.
That's already being enacted.
We're actually talking about developing the play area in the rear of the school and taking it away from the front. There's room there for it. We're not disturbing it, but at present we're talking about having one play area for the younger kids in the rear of the building. Again, a lot of these things are still under discussion and a little bit slower than some of the exact precise locations. Are there any other, do people have questions about the
I asked the question about the parking area on the left. Right now, there are lots of trees. And are you cutting into the trees, or is it all just using the land?
My guess is that we are cutting into the trees there. We're actually having to do a little bit of a retaining wall because the site slopes there, and there will be some of the trees will have to be removed. But it is, we're not going all the way to the corner. There's still more site. I don't know exactly where the tree line goes.
Now, the parking lot on the right, that's something I think to Front Street. What is the other, there's two other gray areas there, I'm not sure what they are. The one behind is like that one,
Okay,
and
so
also...
that's a potential, that's an area for paved play area.
Okay, the other one is near the new kindergarten.
And this would be the kindergarten hard top play area.
Oh,
So that in the winter time, when they can't, when it's too, or when it's too wet to use the lawns, we'll have an area that can be plowed and cleared for playing outside.
Maybe I misunderstood you. I thought you said you might relocate playground equipment that's in on that side to the back. So it doesn't seem like that would be very safe. You know, it seems like it could be too.
I think it'll be primarily for use, it'll be very open, it'll be primarily for use for the kids during the day, during the school day, for the little kids. It'll be a play structure that'll be for a play area that'll be designed for very small children, for the 4 or 5-year-old, 6-year-old.
Won't that be very close to the buses for those little children?
There's actually a good distance. There's also a wall that will separate a low retaining wall that will separate the paved area from the lawn area. But it's around the corner from the bus area. Separated.
There is trees, you live on Woodcrest Drive, we back up to that. There's trees that are there now, they're not going to be touched now. We need some sort of a barrier, if you want to call it that.
We can't go very far into that corner because it's
No, I mean further to the back of where your play area is.
I
Up in
believe
there.
that we're not clearing any trees back in this area.
Not touching anything
That
up.
we're staying in the cleared area in those areas. It's just in the corner here that I think we're cutting into some of the trees. I'm not precisely sure where the tree line is here, but this is all, most of the area around the existing school is already cleared. We're not intending to.
That would welcome more barrier up there.
Denser barrier.
Yeah, we could get it.
Woodcrest Drive comes down behind behind here, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct when I'm showing you this here? It kind of comes down this way. And that's
The hill is right behind the
this.
extension.
Right, and it is my understanding that there's nothing tree-wise in this area here.
And to the left, there's nothing going to be that,
No, what it is this like a pie-shaped piece that comes down to the side of the school over to Woodcrest?
That's where, up to your school.
Magnolia,
My
yes.
house would be actually more affected by the parking lot than any of your home, especially when I play close together. That tree line is pretty well stayed there.
The kindergarten play structure, would that be accessible during, I guess, non-school hours like Saturdays, by other means than, say, walking through the building? Or
It'll be outside.
would it be
It's not
accessible
accessible. I mean, it's not.
for public use, I suppose, during, say, a
I
Saturday?
think that might be directed to the superintendent.
It would be available.
It would not be?
It will be.
Oh, it would be.
It would be a fence.
Would there be some sort of path that connects that from, let's say, that driveway and parking area?
Yes, there's there'll be a connection for the truck.
But yet somehow secured during the day to keep people from walking back there. Double-edged sword, I guess.
Yeah, I don't, it'll be, during the day, it's right outside the kindergarten classrooms, so it's a highly visible area. I don't see it as a security issue for the kids using it as part of the classroom use.
So do you know what the distance is from home plate to right field? What that distance would be?
We're talking, I think, 200 feet,
200?
I believe.
That's what it is. I see.
I'm looking at the floor plan. One of the questions I have is, in the dog there, if this is to scale, this is a little conference room that you have here, about what size is that conference room?
I think we have it, maybe on the, it's about 400 square feet. About approximately 20 by 20 room. So 20 by 20 room is, that, doesn't,
It doesn't equal the table and chairs there.
yeah, around there.
And the elevator that you have, do you have a mechanical area identified for that elevator?
Yeah, there's a machine, I think,
I don't see it on this.
it's on the, I don't know if yours is labeled the same one, this is the way it is here, it's called MA. Right, directly behind the elevator, there's a little room called, the elevator. It's on the first floor.
Here's the elevator.
Yeah. There's no school zone signs on Old Street. Is there plans on putting a school zone sign, flashing yellow sign or something?
That'll be the direction from the town to us to determine what's needed. We haven't gotten into discussions about signage as of yet.
Those kinds of issues are ones that we would raise with the chief of police and the selectmen in terms of putting in those kinds of safety things. They could be in any position in town now. As a function of a request from us or from a request from the principal, they will consider those kinds of options.
The second floor of this building, does it have a fire escape?
Yes, there are two stair halls that are enclosed in 1 hour enclosures, which is what's required. So, the code requirement is that from every space you need to be able to go in two directions. So the stairs are in remote locations, so that you can go, every classroom has you can go in two directions to get to a safe egress route.
Fire escapes are not.
Yeah.
How many hydrants are on the area? Is there?
We'll be meeting with the fire chief on Tuesday, and then I'll let you know. He's basically the one who will, the building will be fully sprinklered inside, and he'll be, I'm sure, giving us some directions to locations and requirements for hydrants on the site.
I'm just going to interrupt. I would invite you to tell us your name, any affiliation you have, your address, if you would like to, when you make your comments, so if we have to get back to you, that we can do that. Should have set that up. Very well.
Nicholas Electric, 236 Pleasant Street.
Dave Berman, 337 Wall Street, directly across from the school.
traffic situation here presently is serious. It's never been addressed. I've been there 17 years. Traffic has escalated greatly in those 17 years. Now we're going to double the size of the school. And we're going to have parking where it doesn't exist presently. And we're going to have additional construction costs and technology, which is going to greatly increase the volume on Wall Street. We presently have a tremendous number of parents who pick up their children and park along Wall Street on both sides of the street, which greatly narrows the street. We have concrete trucks going down here and tractor trailers driving down the street. We have absolutely no signage for safety precautions. We have double the number of children in this school, and when are we going to do something about that situation? It's not the architect's problem. I think it is the school, and I'd like to know if you have any potential. The original study that we did, HMFH helped us with it. We do have a traffic impact study that was a part of that. And all the things you just said certainly are very real, and we understand them. In fact, this committee held a hearing at the school, and we designed that so that they would show up there about 3 o'clock one afternoon when school was getting out. So these people really experienced what goes on at that school at 3 o'clock every day for about 15 minutes. And certainly what you speak of is very correct. There's a tremendous amount of congestion. Even when there aren't snowbanks, and when there are, because it just exacerbates the problem.
One thing that the committee has directed us to do is develop this parental drop-off on the site, so that in fact, the goal is to eliminate the need for parents to drop off on the street, so that at least that portion of the problem will be handled on the site rather than on the street. So there's a long there's a long drive for parents, and it will be very easy for parents to pull in with plenty of room and pull back out.
We would hope with that and the additional parking, that we would be able to eliminate, again, this gets into working with the DPW and the police chief and things like that, the board of selectmen, but we would hope that we could possibly eliminate any parking on at least one side of the street.
It's clear to me, too, that the community will have to respond in some sense to eliminate the use of Lowell Street as bypass, with all that congestion on 95 in the morning. I was at the site 2 weeks ago, about 8:15. It was just amazing to me the number of people who use, Lowell Street to Salem Street as a bypass to get around some of the congestion up on 95. So there's some real issues about how the town will address it. And we will have to be involved in terms of requesting that be done. We recognize the issue. Will you be taking some action in that regard? We will certainly have to do that. It's just, obviously, we're going to impact this now twice as much as it's currently. So we understand the problems and challenges.
Patty Terravilla, I teach at the Franklin School. I know at our school, during the winter, parents are allowed to pull into the playground area, to help with their snowbanks, things like that, for afternoon pickup, because that seems to be the more congested time. Wouldn't it be advantageous to have a little connecting driveway onto that large paved area, where the kids would be out at recess at the end of the day, and I'm sure gym classes would be down on the field, that the parents could at least pull in there so you wouldn't have so much street traffic.
There will be a fire lane at least connecting through here. And that will be a worthwhile for the committee to consider to make it more of a fire lane and actually provide particular access to that area. So it's certainly something that can come very easily.
Joanne Brown, Joanne Parent. I have a question about the library area. Now, on there, at the second floor, you have a large yellow area. You see that's all library space. What on this sheet right here, it has a separating wall of some sort. Do you know what that, what is that? On this sheet, there's a library space,
Yeah.
and it says like there's another empty space and then a computer room.
I think that's roof line.
There's
I think it's differential roof line. You see it on the three-dimensional schematic, how part of the library is up above another part of the library.
there's a an indication of, we're good. The library actually extends, in addition to the square, which is a high area, there's a low roof area behind it. So that's just an indication of a change in roof height. Want a job?
Class B, Woodcrest Drive. The back of the new area, would there be windows or would there be just a brick wall as on the other, as what exists now?
We haven't got that far along in the design. It's going to be a teaching wall within the classroom, so that in the classroom space, the teachers need a certain amount of blackboard space, tackboard space, in order to have the surface area that they need. So there won't be there won't be large areas of window. There may be some openings to provide additional lighting to those special lighting for the classrooms, but you won't have the same kind of pattern that you have along the side of the classrooms.
Is your comment that you would like to see windows there, or you wouldn't because you think it's a vandalism problem? Or-
Vandalism, it's also our houses above that area, and you know, you can see right in when
The only exception to that is the kindergarten classroom. Typically here, an existing building is the end, is the sidewall of the classroom. The only exception to that is these two kindergarten classrooms will open up towards the rear of the site.
Is there consideration for better ventilation and heating control within the complex?
The mechanical system is going to be almost entirely replaced.
Should be.
It should be. That came out during the feasibility study that it was not functioning properly, and that most of the equipment was approaching its useful life expectancy.
David Rice, 37 Way Bath. I think actually you answered a couple of these questions. Two of them. One is, could you talk a little bit more about what is going to happen to the existing building as far as actual renovations? And the second one is, you addressed the massing, but can you start to describe the outside of the new addition materials and how it could blend into the existing building?
Let me just briefly say that in terms of the existing building, there were a number of things that came out during the feasibility study that are highest priority. Mechanical systems, plumbing systems. Some of the windows have been replaced, but there's still some existing windows that are single pane glass. Those will be replaced. New roof. So kind of they're major maintenance items that have to be done. There are ceilings that will have to be replaced. There's some casework, some of the built-in cabinetry will have to be replaced. There are a lot of finishes that should be replaced. As we develop our budget and get further along, there's things that are going to be done, and then there's a long list of things that will be prioritized by the and determine which ones can be accomplished at this point. But as I say, the mechanical systems, the glazing, the roof, the plumbing, those were all identified as necessities, and the rest will be prioritized by the committee. Building. The intent is that it be a brick masonry building, that the brick or significant portions of it will blend in with the existing masonry. We're going to pick up on the colors of both the brick and the flashing, the metal facing around the edges of the building, so that we'll tie the two together as much as possible. The glazing, particularly replacing existing glazing, the patterns will, because we're replacing a major portion of the glazing in the front of the building, we'll be picking up on the patterns in the fenestration of the windows on the new building and the old building. So we'll be tying the two together in that way. This model here is indicating a low canopy, built in together horizontally with those kinds of elements, so that visually there'll be a lot of things connecting the two buildings together. However, we are dealing with a second floor, a two-story building, and what we will be aiming to do as we work with the committee and develop the elevations is to create a obvious focus for the building. That's what the goal is for the entrance, so that as you're approaching what will be a long facade, there'll be an obvious entranceway, a very welcoming entranceway that's in scale with the children. It's not a big institutional facade that's broken down into small, more residential scale, so the kids will feel at home and welcoming and welcome and know that here's where we go into the school building. So those are some of the kinds of things that we're starting to look at. We're just in the early stages of developing the actual elevations for the buildings. I'm sure the committee will have lots to say about it.
One of the major challenges the committee faces is the issue of whether we'll be able to air condition this building. That would be a fairly substantial additional cost item, and whether we'll be able to do that in this budget is questionable. We will certainly develop it as a cost option, but I believe that schools of the future will be longer school years, and we would like very much, if we can financially do it, to have this building air conditioned, because we have developed such a wonderful demand in this community for summer school for elementary children. Last summer at the middle school, we had nearly 400 children in summer school, and half of those kids are elementary age children. So the demand for at least one site to be air conditioned is one that we're seriously considering. But it will have to be, at this point in time, certainly developed as an ad option. I'm not sure that we can, within the budget, do that. But we'd like very much to do it. Could, it would be a plus for the community. And that speaks to your air quality issue. But we need to do those new systems. The air quality engineering designs these days are so much superior to what they were even 25 years ago that schools really are not. They used to be ventilated by the quality of the ability of the teachers to open the windows.
Diana Mitchell, Director of Special Education. When the committee has been looking at this, has the intent of the committee as the new buildings are put into place to have all special education services provided at the home side of the child's school? In other words, services at the neighborhood school.
That has been the original design, is to have that equity in all of the sites in the community, not have any school be a specialized special education. We hope to have that facility.
Could I ask you about the play area in that? Is that going to be, the playground is going to be replaced up there?
I think the goal is to build a new play structure, have a play area that's suitable for that age group.
Which would be after school hours as well as during school hours?
Yes.
Our house is right in the classrooms. And now we're building this way as well as this way. It's just like a tunnel of noise, and it is awful. I just wanted, how could we run like that? We really had quite a time for quite a few years.
recommending that the kindergarten playground that the equipment that's there on Lowell Street right now, that's being moved to, am I right, Laura?
Yeah, that's where it is.
That's the problem.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
The reasoning that, I should say that perhaps, just so you know, that the reasoning that we did that was because with the older kids being dropped off, we felt that they should have a place to congregate, and we didn't want them congregating on the kindergartners' play area. We wanted them to have a separate place. And we also, every time I've gone up to the dog day school, Sally, the lady, traffic supervisor up there, has said to me, "Oh, Noni, please plan for more parking. We need more parking desperately." So, that's why we opened up this, and in doing so, had to move the children's play equipment to a different area.
Well, it's not only my house, but it's the house, the 3 houses that are there. Oh, really? 4. That it affects. And everybody will be mad about it. And sort of stuff that your kids go to school and everything, and when you grow older, you realize how. And then with extra children coming, we're gonna have that much extra noise.
Although they won't all be out like at the same time. They'll be
Well, it never is.
Yeah,
The first
they'll be
one
staggered.
comes out and they put it on the field.
It's actually a pretty active site right now. It's a pretty active site
Well,
right now.
Get
so-
stuff,
And
let's
it's going to be, if anything, more active.
The only thing that I can say is that the older kids now play in that area will be often far into the site from you. It'll be really, just very young children will be at that end of the site. And while kids now, I think, use this as a play area, in the future, that will just be the kindergarten kids.
If it was going, it would double the amount of children.
What was your name again? Shirley Noble?
Yeah, no, and OBLE,
N-O-B-L-E, thanks.
26 was this.
Right, I think it's 8 o'clock, so what I'd like to do is stop the Woodville earlier now, so that we have equal time on the Woodville, and then after we have that presentation, some questions on the Woodville, we can open up for more questions on both schools.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to ask one that will apply to both. It's kind of late in the game to ask this question. Is it funded? We don't have to go for a vote.
Now, all the town approvals have been given.
It's funded. Two-part question, and do we know yet what the state will do? Last year, the negative publicity said, yeah, you can get up to 65% back, but maybe as little as 1%, and that kind of,
64% is
we
the
can
current
get it?
vote. Yes.
they've told us
The only
that?
issue is when.
Okay.
We haven't been
Even for
guaranteed
the-
when the check will come.
For the two-part projects?
64%.
Great.
What's the cost of this project in the dollar bill? What do you estimate?
In $98, the total project cost is just over 9, like 9.2.
Didn't get it, didn't hear you.
9.2. Just over
9.2 million?
Yes.
That's the total project cost. That's not the construction cost. That's everything, starting from ground zero, the architect's fees, the books, the
I
chairs.
want the total, you have the total cost,
That's
it.
the total project cost,
project, building and all,
everything.
okay.
Let's go ahead with the
two schools as possible, so that the layout that's provided at each school is very, as close as we have been able to do to being identical. So in terms of the cafeteria layout and the gymnasium layout and kitchen and support spaces, they're very, very similar. The academic portion, the first floor, is made up of primarily kindergarten and support spaces. So for instance, we have there are 5 kindergarten pre-K spaces, and then there are special needs, reading, OTPT, and the teachers' work and dining area make up the first floor. Then the second and third floor portions of the academic wing, called this half the academic wing, are virtually identical. They're made up of 8 classrooms on each floor, plus the support spaces they need, including toilet rooms, custodial space, storage, tutorial spaces, so that this block is, for all practical purposes, almost identical on the second and third floor. The end of that block, however, is different on the second and third floor. On the second floor, at the top of the stairs, you have special spaces. You have the science classroom, the art classroom, and the special needs classroom. On the third floor, you have the library space, which again is as I discussed at the Dole there, the library would be kind of the crowning point of the school. In this case, it's under this barrel vaulted segment here. So again, the library is kind of the centerpiece for the school, the resource center for the entire school, and that is reflected in the massing and the architecture of the building. So it's a very compact scheme, a very, I think, diagrammatically, a very simple and straightforward scheme, and I think it's it's going to be a particularly easy and functional building, easy to use and functional building for both the students and the faculty who are located there. As at the 2-story portion of the Dolbear School, there's a stair at each end of the 3-story portion. Stair here, so that as you go up, you have easy access to the stair, to the elevator at both ends of the academic corridor. The site is small and bounded by very definite borders. You have high school parking lot on one side, which is this white area here. This is the edge of I don't know how much people can see the back, but this brown is the edge of the high school. So this parking lot is a given, that will stay. The building footprint, we've picked up right against that parking lot, so we'll actually begin some servicing through that parking lot in order to preserve the open space on the Woodville site. There'll be a drop-off in the front of the building with some parking in the front of the building. The other parameters for the site are the wetlands and the floodplain where the ball fields are for the high school. So those can't be impacted, or the existing impact can't be extended. So those form very definite edges for our site as well. So the idea was to keep the building as efficient and compact as possible, which also leads to cost efficiency. We will be going through a series of review processes within the town to make sure that the impact that we have on the site is acceptable to the town. This will include the Conservation Commission and Historic Commission. As with the Dolbear, but this will be a particularly sensitive site for the town engineer who will be looking at runoff water, storm runoff on the site. So we will have to make sure that we adhere to all of their requirements as we
How much higher is this building going to be compared to the high school?
How much higher?
That's right, high in height.
The high school,
What's your elevations?
we're talking
The
13.
existing building over here at the high school,
Yeah,
you're building a new school here, right? You're going 3 stories high. What is the difference between the existing high school and this new school you're proposing?
the reason I'm hesitating is because I don't know what the highest point of the high school is. We're going to be at about 40 feet above grade, and I'm not sure what the highest point of the high school is. The existing Dolbear is, I'm sorry.
That's a very, very good question to ask, because aesthetic-wise, it's not going to look too good. You got a low building and a tall building. Did you people ever think of taking that building and setting it back, leaving the existing where you got it, almost the same height as your high school, and then going back a little bit, because your land is lower, just like the existing high school, and you wouldn't be so much. You have one tall building, one big building, it's an eyesore, I'll tell you that now. And I don't think you should give that some thought.
There's the building footprint and location have been so determined by the edges of the property that we cannot move further back on the site simply because we're impacting the wetlands.
You can move further back to site because your existing building is further back than what you got there.
No, we're further back than the existing building.
This high school is further back than what you got, haven't you?
Oh, the high
The
school.
high school does, yeah.
Yeah, so why can't you move back the same line?
The rules have changed.
There's a wetlands that goes diagonally behind the high school and behind this site. So we are constrained.
I know, you gotta be 200 feet from wetlands. I know, it used to be 100 feet a few years ago. Now they put 200 feet, right?
That's right.
So I understand that. But you still should give it some thought. I hate to see that school go up high like this, like Mutt and Jeff. I don't think it's gonna look nice, in my opinion.
I hope we'll be able to prove you wrong.
I think from the street, the high school is 2 floors, and this will be 3, so it's only 50% bigger. It's not twice as big.
Your high school is 3 floors, but your elevation is way down below here.
Right, but
I
this
see.
is from
Your first floor is gonna be even with your high school over here on Farm Street.
That's right, and there's this.
Now you got 2 more floors going up.
Right.
Think about it.
There's 2 floors from the same elevation on Farm Street, so we'll only be going up 1 story higher.
Yeah.
If you walk in the high school, you can go up a story, and you can go down a story. There's 3 total. And this building will be going up 3.
My next question is, why was this area picked for this type of a school?
Another alternate.
That's what I'll do.
We surveyed all the areas, certainly the usable space on the Franklin site was 2.3 acres. On the Woodville site, we had 3 acres plus the high school superstructure with additional parking and that sort of thing. A lot of people look at the Franklin site and say, you have all that land, but you don't have very much usable land on the Franklin site. And certainly needing a school on this end of the community. We also looked at one of the sites up across that little neighborhood park across near Tootie's, back in that area.
Marcelo.
Yeah, that's what it is. Again, this became the principal option, best option. And we had the architects and their landscape specialists look at all the sites and make a recommendation, and that was the best option. And it is a very difficult option. Don't let us...
What area is this, what area are these pupils gonna come to this school? From the west side, from Greenwood, where are they coming from?
No, there's a line over on the Montrose section of town, and then there'll be a line down in the Greenwood section of town.
Yeah,
So it really, looking at this end of town, plus certainly the whole Franklin group of kids will come down to the school.
You can essentially think of it as the Franklin School and the old Woodville School, the domains that they both share, will all be going to this Woodville School.
the Franklin School is the old,
Just in the old Woodville, if you think of it, boundaries of the old Wakefield school, and that was an elementary school. That, you know, that would approximate what you would.
And there was no way we could utilize the Franklin School for this project.
One of the problems was the logistics of it, because the Franklin school is being used now. In addition to the issues that Terry mentioned, was that the Franklin school is occupied right now, so in order to build it, we'd have to tear that school down, and where would we put students?
But the major concern was the limitation
That's not a
on
good
the
value.
Frankfurt site, 2.3 acres of usable land. We did a full analysis of both those sites. And also the roadway system by the Frankfurt. Public highways, you know, the streets that come down. And certainly this was, again, it's not ideal. This town is very limited in terms of what public spaces are available for building municipal facilities, including schools.
What I'm getting at is, we've got a lot of traffic down here now.
Yes.
And it's just, you know, I can remember this street when it was nothing, but it just keeps pushing here, pushing there, pushing here. You got the dump down there, you got the not deep vocational, they carry on band competition, they got this, that. It's no more peace and quiet here. And I'm not against progress, but I am against everything down here. Eventually, it's got to stop. If I have to get out of my driveway in the morning, about 25 past 7 to 20 minutes of 8, forget it. An emergency, I can't get out.
Again, one of the-
It's getting bad, Mr. Holmes. It's getting bad. You should know it. And not only that, once the good weather comes, we start opening our windows, especially with these buses, the fumes kill you. They kill
Everything
you.
you said is correct. I mean, we acknowledge, I come in here in the morning and I know how compacted it is. The one small savings grace about this is that the elementary schools, starting and ending time is 1 hour offset from the high school. So they're not going to be all coming at the same time. But there will be probably an hour longer, which won't make you any happier.
Did you ever think of putting this up in the Walton Field? And making this here a baseball diamond and whatever you want? And putting that up in the Walton Field, which is more centrally located. And you don't have to worry about opening schools, closing schools, or anything else. Just knock this down if you want it, and make a big baseball diamond. It's more feasible and more economical. I think, I don't know.
We may need that area for expansion of the middle school.
Huh?
We may need that area for just expansion of the middle school. We have 1,100 students on that site.
We haven't
I
gained anything on it.
I'm not too happy with this, to be honest with you. I'm not, I've been here for all my life, and I'm not against progress, I'm not against schools, but I don't think that we should keep grabbing everything down this area of the town. It's just not right. It's just not right. Sorry.
Are these plans finalized?
No.
No.
Um,
Well, don't you think we're putting the cart in front of the horse one more time? Why didn't we get all the permits and everything we need before we start?
oh,
What makes you
because
think that
we
they're...
can't begin to get the permits until we have the building, the preliminary design ready for them to see. They have to be able to see how we're going to impact the site precisely.
But you don't have to have the full plan.
Oh, yeah, we do. Because once, for instance, with the Conservation Commission, when we do our notice of intent, we are committing to where the drainage is going to be, where the precise footprint is going to be, where tree lines are going to be. So we have to, it's something of a catch-22, but we have to be very far along before we can even...
What makes you
begin.
think that when it gets up to the front of the Conservation Commission that they will okay it?
It's a chance you have to take.
And then what?
We're working with the
If
Conservation...
they don't?
Then we have to prove to them that that we can do it within their requirements. We're working with them as we're proceeding, but we cannot initiate, on an informal basis, we cannot initiate the formal process until we know what the impact is going to be.
I'm against this because, for one reason, I live at 46 Wiley Street, which is on the east side of the Beasley Field. At one time, I was born and brought up there 78 years. There's a brook underneath Beasley Field that is covered. Before that was there, and they put fill in there. When you have rain like we had not too long ago, you had an area where the water would dissipate. They put that high school, they started off with the first part, then they brought it down to the east some more. Where do you think the water went to? The water has to go someplace. So now I have water in my cellar when we get it. My brother has, my mother's house has, right there. I don't think we need it. You're gonna tear this thing down, and you mean to tell me that you can put this building, and you're not gonna disturb any of that wetland? I'd want that documented.
Oh, you're gonna, it has to be,
To me.
that's why we have to go
And
through
this
this.
is why I will be number one at the Conservation Commission, because there's other alternates that can be done. And I think before we go any further with this plan, you should give it a lot of thought to put it someplace else. I'm a firm believer of that, believe me. Because I don't think that you or anybody here would want water in their cellar when we get a storm, and we have been getting more than this 100-year floodplain. And everyone along Mill River will be taking, will have the same effect. You can't tell me that they will tear this building down. And I've been around building like Mr. Rivera has for years. And I know how these contractors work, and you are an architect, and you should know also that when they start, they don't have lines that they keep pushing the dirt. If they put any more dirt on the east side of that Woodward School, on the north side, that banking is all ashes from the boiler that they used to use. That's not, and that's in wetland, you can't put anything there. And then on the east, you can't move. I'm there and I'll be watching if it does happen. And I'll put a cease and desist order on it, and I don't care how much it costs me.
No,
I just want you to know what's happening. And I think we should look further into this and put it someplace else. That's not the place for this school.
Just for people's information, this committee doesn't really have any authority as far as locating the building. We're an arm of town meeting, and town meeting directed us to build a building at this site, so we don't have that authority.
Who come up with, in front of the town meeting, the school committee?
Right, but not this.
Don't say anymore.
No, I have to correct you on that, I believe.
I don't wanna go
The school
wrong.
committee did not,
Right, it wasn't.
it was not the school committee. After the initial plans for the 3 schools in the fireplace, in the police station and all that year, that was all voted down, because one thing would have meant Proposition 2.5 override, the town did not want that. After that, I got involved. The reason I got involved, I was a staunch opposer to that plan for the reason of the Proposition 2.5 override. After that particular time, Mr. Holmes had asked for input from people in the town as to why they had opposed it, and there was a questionnaire sent out, and I answered it, and that's how I got involved on the task force to look into the schools and prioritize the ones that were in the worst condition, which, you know, unbeknownst to me, I have been led to believe that Franklin was, and we found that Montrose School was the one that was in the worst condition, followed by Franklin. One of the things that the townspeople answered on that questionnaire was the fact that they wanted to retain their neighborhood schools. And this is one of the reasons why we, as a task group, of which Michael and a few of us were on that group, not all of us, that are on the school building committee, that's one of the reasons why we went with the addition and the renovations to the dog here. That was most feasible for that area, encompassing the Montrose, and for the building of a school on this site to encompass the Franklin School, and possibly the line might go up as far as maybe Acorn Avenue and Upcott, or all maybe of Montrose Avenue, side streets right off of Montrose Avenue, and having the children from this section from Franklin go here. And that was what was proposed at town meeting, and it was within the constraints of 2.5. This school will not be built until funds start coming in, but everything that you see here will be built under 2.5 and with state aid. We will not start the school until we start getting state aid for the dog here, but this was all approved by the townspeople for us to go ahead and form a school building committee, and then I got involved with that, as did some of us that were on the task force, and to go ahead with the plans and stuff for these 2 schools.
correct me here, isn't the point of at least designing for the Woodville schools to submit it to the state for the funding? Isn't there a whole process involved in there?
Yeah, we will be
Is that-
submitting June 1st.
But in that submittal, you need to have basically this. You need to have this type of a design. You can't just have a quick sketch. I mean, you need a very well-developed
Detailed
design.
design.
Details and, maybe you can explain that process a little bit, because
On June 1st, we will be making a submittal to the State Board of Education that will have, as Joan said, detailed floor plans, sections, elevations of the building. And in addition, it will require a preliminary write-off, preliminary approval from the Conservation Commission, from the building inspector, from the town engineer, saying that they have explored the process and feel that it's an appropriate process, or else we can't go ahead.
But they will have a hearing, Conservation Commission will have a hearing with the people who want to attend, and it can be overturned. And that's it.
It's a town process.
It isn't a guarantee.
Is there a completion date on the schools?
The intent is that the goal there would start construction approximately a year from now, beginning of 1998, and then would be finished, would be ready to be occupied September of 1999. The Woodville did not start construction until 2000.
Until the money
Until the
comes
money
from the
comes.
state, which is estimated to be 2002,
So it'll be
2003.
2002, 2003. And the construction process will take approximately 16 months, so a year, a bit after. So the earliest it could be open would be 2003.
Maureen Nixon, 57 Cobb Street. Like Mr. Roberto, the traffic here, we gotta do something. I mean, more traffic would just be a disaster, a light or something. But more importantly, it doesn't start until 2002. It's gonna be outdated by the time it goes. I mean, like the highways, you know, they build a highway and it already doesn't hold the traffic. What are we doing to,
There is a
Look at
provision in the contract to, again, we have to submit the plans to the state to get on the state list of reimbursement. But there is a provision in this to bring it up to the current standards at the point, a year before we finally go to bid for the project, so that it would be code-wise current.
Just, maybe I'm asking too many questions. What would you say the life expectancy or usefulness of these schools would be?
Well, we have to certify that it's a 50-year.
50 years. For the actual building. What about the educational component?
I can't see that. Sometimes you can't see a year down the road, let alone 50. Certainly try to build flexibility into the what we do. But we certainly can't tell what's going to be happening with that part of it.
One of the flexibilities that may not be obvious to you people, but just the size of the classrooms. 25 years ago, classrooms ranged anywhere from 700 to 800 square feet. The flexibility for different instructional design, you'll see the kindergarten rooms are in excess of 1,000 feet in this. You'll see some places where there are some flexible walls for different instructional strategies. We've tried to build in at least some flexibility educationally to the plan, but certainly it can never be too flexible. We don't know how education might take, and certainly included in the budget for these plans is that these schools are technologically networked. There's computer rooms off the library to bring some of that potential development education in the next 10 years.
Dr. Spencer, the delegate over, where the kids go to Earth?
Great school. For 1 year.
1 year?
Yes.
Does the herd, the capacity, the crowd coming in?
It's going to be very tight. again, we're working on that transition. Certainly we have the next year to do that. But it will be tight because we have 2 more rooms in the doll bed than we have currently in the room. So whether we have to reposition a couple of special ed rooms, relocate the 2 preschool classes, those are small possibilities. It's tight. But we do feel it's very important to take all the kids off that site for at least a year while we do, obviously, major construction.
I have a question on the parking. How much additional parking will go along with Woodville, if any,
At Woodville, we have 40 new parking spaces.
that will be created where front coach?
Right off.
And would that equal the number of additional personnel in that school? So
That's tight, though.
at that site. So in essence, it wouldn't affect the side lot of the high school?
I wouldn't be that bold. I think it has potential to impact the high school site.
Well, my concern being here at the high school is that we're short-handed parking now. And as of right now, if anybody were to go over to the Woodville in the morning, the whole back of Woodville is all Wakefield high school kids.
I understand.
So now we have a problem as to what do we do with the high school kids that drive to school? We can't provide additional parking. They're gonna be parking from here because, number one, you can't park over the Pond Street from 40 feet from the end all the way down. There's no parking. So parking's gonna be a major, major concern.
Parking is a major issue, yes. And the committee knows that. I mean, they've been exposed to that.
And that's my standpoint as a parent, parent, person, student in school, is their safety, especially with them coming from the agencies.
There's a play area in the rear of the, not where the baseball field is. The baseball field will stay, so all the large play fields will stay. The area where the, trailer out there now, that back, that won't be parking. That will not be parking, will be the front, and all that area will be play area.
So where the parking, right?
Parking is in the front. This is Farm Street, right at the bottom of the drawing. There'll be 40 parking spaces right in front of the site. The back will be all over for play. It will be in front and the rear side.
Mr. Holmes, about the traffic, I live directly across the street. I can't get out of even at 9 o'clock, quarter of an hour. Children will be out of school, quite often, so I could go to the light, talk to the police.
Again, there will have to be those kinds of accommodations. Obviously, it's very impacted right now, you know that. And this is not going to improve that, it's only going to make it worse. So there'll have to be some other accommodations. There may have to be some police accommodation, could be lighting, could be crossing guards. There have to be some intervention, no question. It's a problem. I mean, we all acknowledge it as a problem. We studied all the areas in town, including not only the town home, but even some private, looking for different locations. The town is pretty well developed, as you all know. In terms of, what kind of development you now see in the community really is on very difficult sites. So there are not tracts of land. We have about 7 acres on the Dolbear site. We're looking at 3 acres on the Woodville site, and thinking that's among the best we have around. So the town is pretty well developed. I'm sure you. Parking, traffic, real challenges on each of these sites. But it would be in any place in this community.
Have you visited the water? That's like that?
That even has less space. We did look at the one side. But again, then you get into the tremendous expense of transporting kids from the Franklin area to town. Then you get into having to have a bus system and the expense of transporting kids from this area to town hall.
The big
the things the town enjoys right now is the fact that about 80% of the kids walk to school. Now, a lot of places, kids walk or ride their own vehicle, and they're not transported at our expense, or your expense. And it is, the town is 2 by 3 and quite comfortable. So we don't have the demand for transportation that any other school department. On the other hand, if we start relocating kids in other sections of the town, we're going to start to pick up that operational expense. There is another challenge.
Again, when we sent out our survey, one of the real strong messages was neighborhood schools. The one that's school near here. The other.
That was one of the things that got amongst the highest votes from everybody all over town, was that they wanted to retain their neighborhood schools. Because I can remember sitting at one of our meetings, and I threw my hands, I think amongst the first meetings we had, we walked into the conference room at the superintendent's office, and 3 sides were plastered with plans of what to do. And I looked at them and I finally said, let's just put all the kindergartners and all the grade school kids in one big school. But that just was not going to work out. That was not feasible. Wakefield has really done away with all of their any large tract of land. It's all been utilized. And so we're sort of stuck with what we have to work with. And as Mr. Holmes said, the Franklin School area, although it looks big, that large drop-off is all wetland back there now. The town, but the school doesn't own that, the town owns that. Strong town.
I'm not sure.
It don't,
I think it is associated with school property, but it is clearly wetland.
that's all wetlands up there, so that's, can't do anything with that, falls under the constraints of conservation. So in areas that it might be nice to build, our hands are tied by all that. As a matter of fact, one of the things that Laura did mention, we had a quick hurry-up meeting last Thursday night, I believe it was, to review over the plans again. And one of the things that she had come back with, too, the new plans for Woodville originally, as you're looking at the school to this side of it, there was another whole row, first, second, and third floors of classrooms. And that's been chopped off. And basically, on the first floor where your kindergarten rooms are in front of the building, that was where the library was. And that whole area has been reconfigured, so, and the library up over the, on the second floor, up over your front entrance. And basically, that's because of the wetlands and how many feet we have to be away from that. Keep us within our constraints. So. It's all of these little things that we have to look at.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Second question, it's probably also with respect to there. The parking lot of Lowe's, how large is that?
How large is it? It's about 30 parking spaces.
And I mentioned that you landscape and finance, this is kind of open lot, with respect to house and processes.
I just have one more comment. The plan itself, I think it lays out very nice. And I think that the massing of the building is pretty interesting and actually does address the high school. But I did notice on the plan, if you're in the music room and you wish to bring equipment to the platform, it seems you have to go out to the main corridor and then walk into the platform. And my question is there some way that that stair can be turned around so it's a more direct access into the music room?
Yes, it should be.
Just so you're avoiding people.
It should be backed up. Off that door.
Anybody else?
You say that you've looked at all the areas for this Woodville school. I recommend that you look at another area that you have or have not, flat, no wetlands. Go Penwalk Road past the football field on the right-hand side, which would be the north. It's all pine growth. You must have 5, 7, 10 acres. Belongs to the school, belongs to the town of Wakefield. Did anyone look into that?
We did, we walked that area, it was quite a grade, as I remember, fairly significant grade, but we did walk that area.
Yeah, and you didn't think that it, I feel this way, you have the regional vocational school up there, you have the high school, put all the schools, compact them together, it would be a lot better than having them in front of the butters that hear the noise. Whether they're graded or not, as you know and I know, Mr. Holmes, that today they're building houses on castles and on mountains.
It was also proposed that we look at that area for parking, additional student parking, not only for this school, the high school, but for sporting events. And the grading issues are quite substantial. It can be done, but it's going to be a very expensive site development issue.
Yeah, but when you talk sporting events, the area may not be for sporting events, but you have the sporting fields in the high school. This is going to be a grammar school, right?
One of the problems is that we have just so much money to work with in order to stay within the budget that the town wishes us to stay within.
I think
And if we get into grading and whatnot, we're running into that much, as Mr. Holmes just said,
Well,
that much more money.
we don't know unless we get some engineers to check it.
Well,
We're just-
again, the initial study was done by engineers. It wasn't just a few of us that walked the site.
But the way they're building houses today, any place and every place, and still doing it, I think that would be the most logical. Get it out of the way of, in front of all these homes, and get rid of some of the traffic. And I think there's something to think about, because that would be another alternate that I would push.
I have to agree with you on the homes. I can't believe they just put a house up here with a driveway coming right out at that
That's right.
intersection.
Tell me about it.
I
Tell
went
me.
up